We're back here on Ceraulo Sports Talk, and joining the show is one of my favorite guests of all time, former NFL D-Lineman, and now you can catch him on SNY, ESPN, CBS, Good Morning Football. He's everywhere breaking down the Jets and the rest of the league. It's my man, Douzable. Legs, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you. Great to catch up. It's been a minute, man. And this past year,
yeah, it's been a while. It's been a crazy year this year, man.
Been one of the best years of your career on or off the field. How has the adjustment been for you, moving to, doing almost daily shows at SNY, college football for ESPN? Has this been crazier than your years as an actual player?
It actually has, right? Because it's been way more travel. It's an adjustment period, just like any job that you would take. But it's been blessing. It's been a blessing, man. I'm truly blessed. I get to wake up and do what I love to do. And let's talk about football. You stated it, do college games for ESPN, do NFL content for CBS Sports, do the pre and post game for SNY while doing daily shows for them, do Jets content. And so it's just been a blessing, man, to be able to even be considered, for doing one of these jobs has been amazing this year.
And my man, one of the teams that you're covering closest is, of course, the team that you spent 3 years with, the New York Jets. Just played Tom Brady, a very familiar face, and the defending champs, the Tampa Bay Bucs. And, of course, you know what I'm going to here. The headline from the game, Antonio Brown having, we just got to call it what it is, a temper tantrum on the sideline. And storming off, throwing his undershirt into the stands, ripping his jersey off. Man, have we seen the last of him? What was going through your mind when we saw that erupt on the sideline?
Well, I do the pre and post for the Jets. So when I saw it live, at first I thought it was a regular fan. I was like, yo, there's a regular fan on the field as the Bucs are about to take a snap. And then they zoomed in. I was like, oh, that's Antonio Brown. And he was like waving at the crowd on his way out. And I was like, what the hell is going on? But some more stories have come out. Supposedly he was asked to go in the game. He felt like he wasn't healthy enough to go into the game. So, we have not heard the end of this story, right? Because there's so much to dive into. First and foremost, conduct detrimental is what they're probably hitting with, and taking off his shoulder pads and leaving in the middle of a game. But then there's also the aspect of Bruce Arians. If a player is saying he's not healthy enough and you're trying to force him into the game, and then you're saying that he's cut because he didn't go to the game, that's something that the NFL will probably look at as well. So I think because of Antonio Brown and all the baggage that's come with him and all the off the field issues he's had, I don't think people are going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If this was another player, maybe because of him saying he felt like he was too injured to go into the game. But this is not the end of this story, Joe. But either way, you can't leave your team on the field, right? Whether a coach tells you to go in or not, or he tells you you're off the team, that just was not the right reaction, right? And I pray that Antonio Brown, if there is something there as far as the mental capacity, if he's dealing with some things in life, that he truly gets the help that he needs, because this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer by the numbers, right? By his play on the field. And it just sucks to see that it come to head like this for a guy of his caliber, skill set, one of the hardest working guys I've ever seen. I used to train with him in the offseason down in Miami. This dude puts in work, Joe. This dude, as far as getting ready to play football, there was few people in the NFL I've seen work as hard as him. So it just sucks that it all came to head Sunday versus the Jets, where he ends up leaving the field in the middle of the game and leaving the stadium. So I just pray that he gets the help that he needs if he's going through something. But this is a topic that will be continued to be talked about throughout this week.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And, Leger, I think you hit every nail on the head, right? It's unfortunate, but the truth is, because he has a past, it's going to be much harder to believe him in his side of the story than Bruce Arians, who by all accounts, I've spoken to a ton of players who have played for Bruce, and they all seem to love him, and they say that he's a player's coach. And, you saw what he did last year, going out getting a tattoo after they won the Super Bowl because he told his guys he would, and he followed through. He just seems so likable. And unfortunately, even if he does turn out to be in the wrong, it's like in the court of public opinion, AB is already sunk. He had zero margin for error. And this just doesn't help.
100%. And again, that's why it sucks, right? Because of the baggage, the off the field stuff that AB has been synonymous with. In this story, it's hard for people to to believe his side of the story. But that's why I never truly judge anybody in this world until the true story comes out. It just sucks. Again, he did not handle it the right way by any means necessary. Like, you cannot leave your team on the sideline. You can't make a showing of it by taking off your shirt, taking off your shoulder pads, and then running out, halfway through the game, especially for a guy like Tom Brady that's vouched for you, right? Like, I get it. You're upset. The coach is trying to force you into the game. You don't feel like you're healthy enough. I get you being mad, right? If that's the case of why he was mad. There's also rumors about the bonuses he was potentially going to get, but to me, that made no sense because he still had a whole nother game to get those. So I think he would have got those regardless. I think it was 8 catches, like 50 yards, and only like 1 receiving touchdown, which, if by all accounts and purposes, if you saw what he did the week before versus Carolina, he was going to get that easily. And then even the Jets game, he was targeted 5 times already in that first half. So I believe it was maybe more of him just being upset because the coach, and this is me speculating, I don't know, I haven't talked to Antonio Brown, the coach telling him to maybe go in the game, and he felt like he wasn't healthy enough. Again, he didn't handle it the right way by any means.
Now, I want your opinion on how someone else handled something in that game. This time, flipping it to your team, Brandon Echols of the Jets. I mean, look, the rookie picked off Brady in the second quarter. How many rookies can say that they've picked off Brady throughout his career? But then after the game, asking him for his autograph. Look, it's controversial. You've got some people out there that are killing him in the media. And then you've got guys like Darius Butler, the former Colts cornerback, who's a regular on the Pat McAfee show. And he was like, essentially, shit, I'd have done the same thing. Like, go for it. You're a rookie. You pick off Brady. You're entitled to that. So what do you think about how Echols handled that?
I think people are taking this way out of context. You just got to put this into perspective. Like, maybe if Brady was still in New England, you don't do that, right? Because you play them twice a year. But this could be potentially the last time that Brandon Echols ever gets to play against Tom Brady. And in his rookie season, this is a 6th-round draft pick, went to JUCO. Nobody considered him to be the starter coming into this year. He fought and clawed his way on top of the depth chart, became a starter, and picked off the GOAT. Like, I don't have an issue with him going to ask for signature. Now, it's ballsy, right, because Tom Brady is the GOAT. And I guarantee if the Jets had went on to win that game, Brady probably would have looked at him crazy. But because the Bucs ultimately won the game, I don't think this is a big issue. This is something that he's going to be able to tell his kids, tell his grandkids. Like, I picked off the best quarterback to ever grace the presence of this earth, and I did it in my rookie year. Like, it's kind of a cool story. So people, I'm a big guy of, always competing and not showing any love to the opponent. But I think once the whistle is blown and the game is over, I think you can kind of take a step back. I mean, because there's friends I have on other teams, and I talk to them like, during the game, there's no friendliness. But after the game, we chop it up because, it's everything just in between the white lines. And it's bigger than football. And that was a situation that was bigger than football. That's something that he's going to always remember for the rest of his life and something he can pass down to his kids and his grandkids.
Dude, I agree with you 100%. And honestly, I'm not making a comparison between Echols and Brady, of course. But if you look at some of the similarities, both 6th-round picks. Of course, Brady went from 6th-round pick to the best ever. But Echols, like you said, clawing his way to his starting position. How many 6th-round picks get cut in training camp, get cut in the preseason, like don't even make the 100%. Opening day roster, the week 1 roster? And so, again, not comparing them. Who knows if Echols is going to go on to have a Hall of Fame career or not, or, be in the league. Hopefully, I mean, the goal is what, 5 years, 10 years? I mean, like, who knows?
Yeah. But I mean, the average, I think, is only like 3.2. So, yeah. But he's come on late. He's come on strong as of late. Had a pick 6 versus Miami a few weeks ago. He's played well down the stretch.
Yeah, he definitely has. And so for a guy like him who's worked his tail off to get where he is so far this season, I mean, I'm with you. I say enjoy it because you might not have the opportunity again. But now looking at that game, the Jets were up 24-10 at one point, which it just sounds baffling. I mean, look at this team's wins. Tennessee, Cincinnati. They had Tampa on the road.
Just give us the best. We just wanted to play the best. That's it. Just give us the best.
That seems like Robert Saleh's mentality right there, man. He gets up on game day. Now, look, fans are probably watching that going, no, we need the draft pick. But you're a football player. Exactly. I knew that was going to be your reaction. I mean, you're going out there repping the name on the front of your jersey, the name on the back of your jersey. You've got pride. You want to win every single game, regardless of draft positions. So how disappointing was it for you, for the football player watching that, to see them with a chance to knock off Brady, to knock off the defending champs? and then to blow that 2-score lead.
Yeah, I'll react to you saying people are bad because of draft status. Like, that to me is just ignorant, right? Like, at some point you have to set a precedent, right? You don't want to be the team that's always trying to worry about draft status. And people put too much emphasis on these draft picks, right? Because these kids are coming from out of college, right? Their first year, none of them are going to be superstars. It rarely happens. Like, Justin Herbert is the exception. He's not the rule. I think people tend to forget that. Like, guys like Nick Bosa, those are the exception. They're not the rule. Like, it usually takes guys a little bit of time to develop to be the guy. So, like, as far as you talking about, like, moving up or down and draft pecking order, like, that's ridiculous. Like, there's guys out there fighting to feed their family. Like, this means more than draft position. Like, you don't put that much hard work in to go out there and lose a game. Like, that loss for the Jets, those plays on lock, was bone crushing. Like, you had an opportunity to knock off the defending champs, and you had them on the ropes, literally up 14 in that game with an opportunity to win the game at the end and seal the game, and you couldn't get it done. And then you end up losing the game because, you know, Tom Brady, with any time on the clock, he's going to come back and bite you. And that's what happened Sunday. So, like, as a player, just to take you into the locker room, like, you compete every time you're on that field because, one, it's a blessing to be out there. Two, you don't know how many more opportunities you're going to get like this, especially if you're a veteran player. So, like, your film is a resume. So when you're playing somebody, you're going to put your best foot forward because whether you're a free agent or maybe you're a cap casualty, like 31 other teams are looking at that film, and that film is who you are to them in their eyes. So if that's who you are, you want to go out there and compete and lay it on the line. You're not going out there saying, yeah, I'm worried about the Jets draft position because you might not even be here next year for the draft position. So you could tell that young team went out there and just went out there and competed and played hard. Proud of them. It sucks they weren't able to get the win. It was crushing how they lost that game at the end. And it was crushing for me as a Jet fan how they lost that at the end. But you see the progress. You see the development in this young team. And the sky's looking bright for this young team. From the quarterback position, he's played really good football the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season. And then some of the draft picks they had, and both Michael Carters are playing well. Talk about Elijah Vera Tucker on the offensive line has played really well. Brandon Echols, a rookie who's come on of late. So some of the foundational pieces, Elijah Moore, who's kind of been banged up, but he's played well when he's been in the lineup. Some of the foundational pieces are set for the Jets, and the future looks bright.
You know, Leger, I know that you noticed that jersey over my back shoulder there, and I love the contrast. You've got the Jets helmet, I've got the Giants jersey. Yeah. For 2 4-win New York football teams, the Jets' future right now, I can't believe I'm saying this, is looking a lot brighter than the Giants. What do the Giants need outside of everything? Like, specifically, what do the Giants need to right the ship here? Because it's been the most embarrassing stretch for them since the 1970s.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that because my big bro, Marcus Spears, actually had the gall and audacity on ESPN. He said that he thought the Giants were set up better for the future. I'm like, have you seen their cap numbers? Right? They got a lot of big contracts, and they're a 4-win team. To me, it's just a disconnect between the players and the coaches. And I never like to say somebody should get fired, but I really think they have to start all over. They've already said that Gettleman most likely won't be there next year. I think Joe Judge – and again, I don't like saying anybody should be fired, but I just think you have to start fresh because things have gotten worse down the stretch. Like, Maurer, quote unquote, came out and said maybe from sources said that he maybe have found his next Bill Belichick. But what is being put out there on the film is it really signifies how the team feels about the coach. And I hate to say that, but like, the performances, Joe, have gotten worse down the stretch, where you would think if a team is fighting for their coach, they'd get a little bit better. Like, it's been the total opposite between the Jets and the Giants. That's not me being a homer, because I played for the Giants as well, right? And I have a lot of friends, Lawrence Taylor, Osi Umenyiora, Judson. Those are all my guys. But it just seems like the two teams are going in 2 totally different directions. Like, this young team is continuing to fight. While the Giants have a lot of contracts tied up, they don't have a lot of cap money. They almost have to certainly bring back Daniel Jones because it'll be hard for them to start over because of those contracts that they've put into place for some of the players that they have. The Jets are going to have a ton of cap room. Like the Giants, they have a lot of draft picks, but even more ammunition in the draft when you talk about the 2nd and 3rd round of having 2 picks in each of those rounds as well. So if you're the Giants, I think you just have to start it over. And I know it sucks to say every 2 years you're firing a coach, but they just haven't seemed to get on the same page. And thing about Joe Judge, and I said this last year and the year before when he was making guys do up downs and run laps, and that's so high schoolish. Like, these are grown men, right? Like, you can get away with that in New England when you have Tom Brady, but you can't really get away with that anywhere else. That's the one organization that's been able to get away with it. Now this year they're able to win some games to get into the playoffs with Mac Jones, who was kind of a miniature Tom Brady in his early year. But you can't do that in most programs, man. You got to think about these grown men that you're coaching. A lot of them make more money than you, right? And it's about respect. It's not just the players respecting the coach. The coach has to respect the players. And you got guys doing up downs and stuff like that in college and high school. It just doesn't bode well for most teams. It usually doesn't work. And I think you just have to tear it down. Honestly, you got to get a new GM, a new head coach, and hopefully, you can find your next Tom Coughlin, and you have the right coach to lead your team to a Super Bowl.
I'm so glad you mentioned Tom Coughlin, because that for me is the part that bothers me the most. It's like, you hear Mara, the leaked comments about, oh, I found my next Bill, right? And he's referring to Belichick, he's referring to Parcells. In my opinion, you had that man. And then I thought he was
2 Super Bowls
on his way out.
Yeah, 2 Super Bowls from that guy. And I played for the Giants when Coughlin was there. And, he was a little bit of old school, but there wasn't too many coaches that cared more about their players. Like, he was a really good dude. Again, a little bit of old school, but sometimes you need that. And it equated to 2 Super Bowl rings for the Giants. So, obviously, it worked. Now, football is not the same as it was in 2007 and 2010, but you have to change with the times. And I believe – again, they get away with that in New England because that's been the system forever. And they had the greatest quarterback of all time. Now they're getting back to the playoffs this year, and we'll see how far they go. And we'll see the next couple of years how it pans out with Mac Jones at the quarterback position. But we saw Bill Belichick do something he doesn't routinely do also, right? He spent a boatload of money in free agency. So that wasn't the same team he had the year before. So he noticed that he didn't have Tom Brady. So I have to get some better skill position players. I have to get 2 good tight ends, because when we were winning, that's what we had, right? He didn't get the best free agents as far as pass catchers on the outside, but he got comparable pass catchers on the outside. Kendrick Bourne is a guy that's a really good player in the slot. You got Nelson Aguilar, guy that can, take shots down the field. So, and then on defense, right, that wasn't the Bill Belichick defense we saw last year. So this year, what did he do? I'm going to bring in, Devon Gotcha. I'm going to bring in Matt Judon, to me, who was probably the best free agency signing in free agency this year. I'm going to bring in Mills at the cornerback position. I'm going to bring in Phillips, and then I'm going to pay him. So he made moves that he doesn't routinely do. So even Bill was uncharacteristic in the things that he did this offseason, because he knew that he couldn't do what he was doing when Tom Brady was here and continue to win. He was like, I have to go spend some money, and that's what he did.
Yeah, bringing back Van Noy, too, was huge. I mean, I can't believe Miami.
Yeah, that was massive. Miami, that was just ignorant.
Especially Brian Flores, a guy who coached him as a linebackers coach in New England. Like, that just made no sense to me. And then Judon, you hit the nail on the head. He's been the best free agent signing. It's funny you mentioned the receivers, because ironically, the Giants got the quote-unquote #1 receiver on the market in Kenny Galladay, and he's got about
the man ain't been out there.
But
that's the thing about Kenny Galladay. Like, that was his concern in Detroit, was could he be healthy? Right? We know he's a #1 receiver when he's on the field and healthy, but he's had issues staying healthy. And I think everybody was surprised at the number he got from the Giants. And granted, they were yearning for a #1 receiver, and he was the top guy in the market that year. But you just pray that he can stay healthy going forward, because it's really hard to evaluate Daniel Jones when you're talking about a beat-up offensive line that has struggled. Talk about Saquon not being healthy for most of his career since his rookie year. Your #1 receiver not really on the field. Your first-round pick, Tony, who showed promise, not really being healthy. Sterling Shepard misses at least 4 games every year. So how can you really judge how good Daniel Jones is when he's playing with guys that are literally like the 5th or 4th receiver, this 3rd running back, the 4th or 5th offensive lineman? Like, it's hard to really evaluate a young quarterback when he has to go out there each week and play with that cast of players. So I think that bringing Daniel Jones back makes most sense. This isn't a heavy draft as far as quarterbacks. I think bringing him back is a no-brainer, but I think you have to bring in and it sucks, right? Because now he's got to learn a whole new system again if you do bring in a new coach and a new GM.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000% on that. Leger, I want to get to 2 other things. Last NFL point I want to bring up. I led my show with this today. It's the Bengals Chiefs game from last week. Cincinnati knocked off Kansas City, who hadn't lost the game since their 3-4 start. How seriously should we be taking Joe Burrow and the Bengals? Are they a team that can maybe knock off Kansas City again, knock off Buffalo on their way to a potential Super Bowl appearance in LA?
No. And it's because of the youth, right? First and foremost. Now, this is an explosive offense, right? So you have to be scared about this offense. But right now, I think it's slated for them to play the Colts. That's a whole different issue. We talk about the run game that they bring to them, and then the defense being very opportunistic. Either the number one or number two defense as far as taking the football away, and I believe the number one turnover margin team in the NFL. So you're talking about a team like the Indianapolis Colts who are going to minimize the opportunities Joe Burrow and that offense have as far as the way they run the football. And then a team that's very opportunistic that will get you to turn the football over. The thing about the Chiefs game this past week, the thing that kind of surprised me was Spagnuolo as much man coverage as he went. Now, I know that he likes to heat it up and blitz and go man coverage, but you have to understand your personnel. And that's, to me, where sometimes like coach can have a little bit too much pride in his system. Because the weapons that the Cincinnati Bengals have, no other team in the NFL has. Like, let's just be honest. Those three receivers, that tight end and C.J. Uzomah, and then Joe Mixon, there's a reason why he's a Pro Bowler. Like, and then Joe Burrow, who should have been a Pro Bowler. Like, there's no offense that has that. And I know a lot of people question whether they should have went with Penei Sewell or Chase. They ultimately made the right decision. But I think the thing that will hurt them in the playoffs, right, when it gets cold and stuff and wind and snow, when you're not able to throw the ball, they're able to run it sometimes with Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon's a hell of a receiver out of the backfield, but that offensive line is not good for the Bengals. Like, that's something they have to address next year if they truly want to be able to compete and go to the next level, because that's the one strength that the Indianapolis Colts have over most teams. Their offensive line is probably the best in football. But I thought a lot of that success that the Bengals had last week was a part of the pride from Steve Spagnuolo and some of the calls he was making. Like, Jamar Chase had already killed you for like 170 in the first half, and yet you're still going man coverage in the fourth quarter. And you got Daniel Sorensen out there in coverage, which that wasn't man coverage the last play that Chase had. But we know he's been violated multiple times in coverage this year because he plays with bad eyes. And yet you should have had him as just the middle safety in cover 3. I would have never put cover 2 out there because I don't know what he was looking at. Like, under, so there's always 4-7-3. Somebody goes under. Somebody's always going deep. Like, that's day one football. And yet he bit on the under route and left the best receiver on the field that day, Jamar Chase, wide open for a 60-plus yard touchdown. So that was just, I want to say, I don't want to take anything away from the Bengals, but I felt like the Chiefs at certain points gave that game away.
Yeah, I'm with you. And for me, one thing that I noticed too was that, all the blitz packages, I thought Kansas City's D-line was doing a great job getting pressure on their own.
That's what was killing me, right? Chris Jones was killing their guards. Why do you continue to go man? If you go man, go 2-man. Like, why are you going man coverage and cover 1 and cover 0 when your defensive – and I literally broke this down on CBS 2 days before this game, Joe. I said the way that this D-line has played lately, like I was like, I know that Spagnuolo likes to blitz, but this defense has come on. Ever since they got Melvin Ingram over from Pittsburgh, Frank Clark started playing better. Chris Jones, they moved him back to defensive tackle. He is a mismatch from hell versus any guard in one-on-one situation. Like, I don't understand it. Like, you have a D-line that can get after quarterbacks and get blitz and play in and play out. Like, that was probably Spagnuolo's worst game of the year, hands down.
Yeah. And it didn't make sense because Spagnuolo won a Super Bowl with a 4-man.
Letting 4 guys rush.
he didn't have to blitz the 16-0 or I guess 18-0 at the time Patriots. He was able to send 4 guys. You've got maybe not as deep a defensive line as the Giants had because that was next man up. Kiwanuka could sub in. Anyone could sub in. So it may not be as deep, but, Chris Jones, he's a Hall of Fame All-Pro caliber player. Frank Clark and Melvin Ingram, those guys are studs. Like, you've got talent. You don't need the blitz. I'm with you there. Hey, before
even Okafor is a really good player too. So it's like, bro, you have a good enough rotation where you can just rush, let your guys rush. And I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, Leger, before we wrap this up, I do want to bring something up that'll give you a little bit of time to gloat and to be prideful. Your UCF Knights in their December 23rd bowl game, the Gasparilla Bowl against Florida, dominated the Gators from start to finish, man. I mean, we saw, obviously it's ironic, right? We have 2 SEC teams in a championship game, but outside of them, just a dreadful bowl season from the SEC. So how much fun was watching that game for you?
So much for that SEC bias, right? The 2 top teams in the nation are from the SEC. But no, it was fun, right? Because I have a lot of friends that went to Florida. The Pouncey twins, Carlos Dunlap, Lewis Murphy, those are all my guys. So, I had to send them a little message on Instagram letting them know, take that L that we run the state of Florida. And it was good, right? Because this is a team that has evaded us. I think the last time we played Florida was 06, my junior year, but that was the year they won the championship. And we kept that game close in like the first and a half quarter, and then it got kind of ugly. Percy Harving was introduced to college football in that game versus us. A boy took an end around about 60. I was like, who the hell is this kid? Chris Leak was the quarterback, but Tebow came in, and they had their little Tebow package. But these are new times, right? UCF is going to the Big 12. This is a team that is on the trajectory of going up, multiple New Year's Six Bowl games in the last 5 years, winning 2 of them, 2 out of the 3 they went to. Talking about winning the Fiesta Bowl in 2013, I believe, winning the Chick-fil-A Bowl versus Auburn in 2017. They lost in 2018 versus LSU by 1 score, and the Fiesta Bowl again. So this is a team that's on the upward trajectory. We got Gus Malzahn over from Auburn. And for all the injuries that happened, Gus did a hell of a job, right? To get a 9-win season. And we're used to double-digit wins the last, 7 years. But for him to even get 9 after losing your starting quarterback, losing your starting running back for most of the year, losing your best defensive player at Kalia Davis, who's going to the NFL, multiple guys being hurt throughout the season, your best receiver too, and Jay Flash Robinson, who I think is going to hit the transfer portal. For him to be able to, with a true freshman quarterback, to go out, win 9 games, and then dominate an SEC team in Florida, who – I don't even know if I want to put this out, but I'm going to put it out there. I was mad that we signed a 2-for-1 deal because I feel like we've gotten to the point where we're constantly in the top 25, but we should have to sign a 2-for-1 deal with anybody, especially Florida. Like, who the hell do they think they are? They haven't been good since Urban Meyer left. Why are we signing a 2-for-1 deal? But the deal is done. Hopefully we can change that now that we smoked them in the bowl game. And they should literally play that game either in Tampa at a neutral site in the beginning of the year going forward or somewhere else because – I believe that was a sellout crowd, first time in Gasparilla Bowl history. Over 68,000 fans were there for a Gasparilla Bowl because of Florida and UCF. Yeah. That proves how much we despise Florida.
Absolutely, man. And look, I love it. I love the mid-majors always, the group of 5 teams coming out on top. And, you didn't hold anything back, but you're 1,000% right. Florida hasn't been good in almost a decade. So UCF,
literally, who do they think they are? Exactly.
My man, thank you so much for joining the show. Leger Douzable, catch him every day on SNY. Good chance you'll see him elsewhere. CBS, ESPN, College Football, Good Morning Football. He's a frequent guest. My man, thanks so much. Always valuable insight when you join the show.
Appreciate you, Joe.